Hey, what's up? I'm Ron. I just want to tell you a little story about what happened to me when I was in high school. And it really made an impact in my life, so I'm going to share this with you. But when I was around 16, 15 years old, I went to Olympia, Washington with my friend Josh Stanton. He invited me out there. I didn't have any money or anything, but that was the case at that time. We just borrowed money from our parents or stuff so we can do things. But ended up at this party at this girl's house named Andrea, and we were like, it was 1990 when NWA was out and popular, and they were all about fuck the police and the Easy E thing. So we were dripped out in our parkas. Like I had the NBA Bulls, Chicago Bulls hoodie on, and my friend had his jersey on, but we looked like thugs coming through Olympia. And Olympia was just like this hippie town in this capital of Washington State, but a lot of college students were there, so it was kind of a cool place to hang out. But we didn't care; we were young, and these girls were making drinks upstairs, having a party, and just conversating. And me and Josh ended up in the basement where we discovered a bunch of old instruments and stuff like that. And they were all kind of broken, and they're just like a two-string guitar. And but we didn't ever knew how to play instruments. But we just banged on them and played as much as we could with them just to make them sound cool. But I ended up wandering upstairs where the girls were at. I just wanted to explore the house and see what this place was all about. And I ended up in the living room, and it was getting dark outside, and I didn't think anybody would be out at the time because it was getting so dark. But the door knocked, and we weren't expecting anyone. But I was the only one in the living room to greet the guests, so I opened the door, and this guy stood in the doorway like he looked like a bum, like with like dirty hair and stuff, and just like I thought he was gonna ask me for money or something, but he was just like, "Is there a party going on here, man?" And I was like, "What? A party? Yeah, we're having a little party, but..." He's like, "You mind if I join you?" I was like, "Damn, this guy's bold." I was kind of fit, like, so I didn't really care. Like, I could take this guy if I had to, if he caused any troubles. So I wasn't scared of him at all. But just being like how I am, I said, "Yeah, we're having a party. Come on in." So he came in, and I was like wondering why he was wandering in the streets at night by himself. And I asked him that question, and he said, "I just got done with band practice." I was like, "Band practice, dude? You don't look like you can play in a band. You don't even look like you can buy a shirt. You look like a bum." I was thinking that in my brain, but I didn't tell him that. And I didn't really believe him, like he had the band practice thing going on. So I tested him. I was like, "Oh yeah, so what band are you in?" And he's like, he told me, and it kind of like stood in my mind for a second, like that's kind of a cool name. But I never thought anything of it after that. So I was just trying to be accommodating, and I invited him into the kitchen to meet the host of the party. And it wasn't a real big party; it was just a gathering, a few girls, and me and Josh. But we were just too occupied in the basement to care about what was going on upstairs. But I introduced him to the host, Andrea, and he seemed to be nice to her, and they were had a good conversation flowing. So I left him to that and went back into the basement and jammed on these instruments that were broken. And I was trying to figure out how to tune this three-string guitar. And I was just like, "Wait a minute, this guy's in the band. He can tune this guitar then." So I was like, if he's really in the band, he can tune this guitar. So I was gonna test him again because I still didn't think he was like. I thought he was a bum. So I asked him, hey, will you tune this for me? And he's like, I'll try. So I gave him this like 4-string guitar that I didn't know how to play, and I wouldn't even know it was tuned if it was tuned. But he kind of messed with it a little bit and gave it back to me. So he ended up sticking around for an hour or so, and then he went on his way. But the girls had a good time. I'm talking with them, and they're in deep conversation every time I checked on them. So I thought it was a good fit. But the next day left back up to Bellevue and Kirkland area where my friends Dave and Kyle were hanging out, and I ended up at their dad's house and had MTV on. MTV was big back in the day because we didn't have internet, and I saw that same dude in this video that was just released, and I was like, "That's the dude that we were just hanging out with," and it ended up being Nirvana's Kurt Cobain, and I was like, "What the hell?" And that moment on kind of defined my life by telling me that it's not the person that you think they are, and not to judge a book by its cover, because you never know who you meet. So I'm glad to have that opportunity to learn from this experience.